I think a part of that team, the team soul being off was mine was off. And I am that guy for this team. I am the emotional leader for this team. I am the voice, the energy. And if all those things are off for me, it's gonna take a hit on the team. And so mine was off. But I kind of just had to get out of my own way, get out of my own head. Always helps to be healthy. Earlier in the season, I was battling the knee tendonitis and then the toe, which lasted a while. And so it helps to be healthy, 'cause that alone helps you be in a better headspace. Then every time you step on the floor, you're worried about your toe, you're worried about this. That helps, but even with the situation with me and Kevin, like that took a hit on the team, but it also took a hit on me because I am the voice for this team, and yet your voice don't carry as much weight when something like that happens, and you have to gain that back. You have to gain that respect back, and it doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. It happens over time. And so I think that's helped as well as, gaining that respect and that trust back that was, took a big hit when that happened.
Were you embarrassed?
I wouldn't necessarily say I was embarrassed. I was never embarrassed about it because it is what it is. Stuff like that happens all the time. Does it go that far? No, but things like that happen all the time. So I wouldn't necessarily say I was embarrassed.
Then do you have regrets?
I don't have regrets. If I was embarrassed about anything, I was embarrassed to Kevin, not to anyone else. I was embarrassed, if anything, to him, by him. So how would he look at me would be the biggest embarrassment that I felt. To no one else, I really don't give a whatever anyone else thought. Because in that situation, the only thing that mattered to me was Kevin. Like, how does Kevin feel? What does Kevin think? How do I fix that with Kevin? It was never about anyone else, anything else, other than that. And so, if anything, that hurt me to know that that is a guy who, I have a great relationship with, who trusts me. And much more than basketball. Like, this had nothing to do with basketball for me. It was more so life. Like, this is a guy who has been through some things in his life that I know, that I understand, and we've went through some similar things in our life so we can relate, and we've shared those stories with each other, and then you kind of break that trust. That hurt me more than anything. Basketball is basketball. You figure that out. I mean, obviously we figured that out. It was more the life side of it for me than anything else.
Katie told me yesterday, y'all talked, and I said, what did Draymond say to you that really stood out? And he said, actually, Draymond just listened. So what did KD say to you that really stood out while you kind of didn't say nothing, just listened to him?
I think so many times, we all think we got the answer. And like, I'm going to say something to make this right. In that situation, I knew that there was nothing I can say to make that right. So how about I just listen to Kevin and what he has to say? Because that's the first step to healing this process, is him saying what he has to say and saying what he feels. I kind of said what I had to say. I had my opportunity to say what I had to say. I completely bombed it, but I said what I had to say, or whatever. There's really no space for me to say anything. It's a time for me to listen. And so I told him, just tell me what you got to say. Tell me how you feel. If you tell me how you feel, then I'll say something. But I'm not just coming into this conversation saying, hey, like, no, you already talked, shut up. Like, shut up, I already said what I had to say. And so I think the one thing that Kevin said to me that stood out with me more than anything was, he said, so many times I see people say, Draymond's emotional. I see the coaches say, Draymond's emotional, and that's okay. I see the media say, Draymond's emotional, and that's just Draymond. And I've even heard you say, like, sometimes my emotions get the best of me. He said, but I'm not allowing you to use that excuse anymore, because I've seen you locked in. I've seen you completely locked in during the playoffs and not get a single tech. I've seen not argue with any refs, not argue with anybody. I've seen you lock in, and you're not emotional. That's an excuse that you've used, that everyone allows you to use, and I'm not allowing you to use that anymore because I know you're much better than that. And that kind of hit home with me because it's real. Like, it's something that, by the way, goes once again, like I said, in this whole process, it was life for me more so than basketball. That hit homes in life. Like that hit, I can use that outside of basketball. And so if he said, out of all the things that he said to me, if there was one thing that I take away from that that's most important moving forward, is that.
Why did you say those things? Why did it come to his free agency?
Well, I think, you know, I am someone who, like I said, the fabric of the team, good or bad, good, bad, or indifferent, that's me. Like, something's going wrong with this team, I deal with it. I have to deal with it. That's part of my job. If something's going right with this team, I'm probably in the middle of that. So good, bad, or indifferent, I am in the middle of all of it. And sometimes been in the middle of so much. Like there's a lot that goes on when you're in something that's so great. You know, like I think we've built this thing up. It's like, this is amazing. But there's a lot that goes into and like daily that goes into this. And so when you're in the middle of all of that, as a human being, sometimes it can get a bit overwhelming. And once it gets a bit overwhelming, then you just start reaching for things like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. Like, oh, well, if I can correct this, then this will be better. Because once again, it is kind of my job to make sure things are going the right way. And so sometimes you just get to reaching for stuff that really ain't there. But you convince yourself it's there, and once you convince yourself it's there, you sold on that. And now how do I figure this out? Well, if I need to figure it out, I didn't figure it out that way. So, but you live and you learn.
Did you say, I'm sorry?
That's not important. You know, that's kind of one of those things that Kevin and I talked about that, you know, so there are some things that are said in that conversation that stays in that conversation. I think that is one of those things, but, you know, like I shared the story before, like I don't mind sharing some things, but some of those things in that conversation stays there.
Last one as we wrap up is, now as you move forward from this moment, do you think you would, how do you move forward from it? Like, I know you often get in KD and like try to ignite him. Do you have to watch kind of how you talk to him now moving forward during games, or are we all good, or is there still more that evolution of this relationship and still more healing coming?
Nope, I tried that. I tried to I would see something, see him do it wrong, and it's like, I can't say nothing. And you know what he said to me? He said, you saw something that could have helped me and you didn't say it. You remember how you would talk to me, how you would say things to me before that Clipper game? Don't change it now. I need you to do that. And so I'll be 100% honest. I personally was like, I probably can't say this to K. I probably can't say that. He corrected me. So that's great.
That's your brother?
Always.